All right. Parashat Noach. The parasha starts with the words Ele toldot Noach. Noach ish tzadik tamim haya bedorotav. Noach was, these are the memoirs of Noach, or the story of Noach, and Noach was a righteous man in his generation. The Ari explains that the concept tzaddik means a person that knows how to fulfill in his life the connection to the sfera that is called Yesod. According to the Kabbalah, our goal, our purpose here, according to Kabbalah, is to be medabek, to attach ourselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Gemara, how is this possible? How can a mortal person attach himself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? It says, Hare esho chalahu, it's a consuming fire.
That's end of Ketubot.
Huh?
End of Ketubot, that we finished.
And then it says, Hidabek b'midotav. In other words, adapt to yourself his qualities. The word midot, according to Kabbalah, is being explained as sferot. Those whatever those sferot are. So if we try to imitate or to become similar to Hashem, right? So how is it exactly happen? It's very hard. So Chazal come and explain to us, and they said it's like, let's say, the effort to try to connect an electric appliance directly to the power station, to high voltage. I mean, you can't. It's going to fry. So since it's impossible, Since it's impossible, a way to connect it, right? Also to the the same thing as it goes to electricity. You go from the power station to a substation to a transformer station to high voltage until it comes to your thing and you actually plug it. We also are able to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in order not to be consumed or to the upper worlds. Also, a passage of the spiritual light through certain filters or masachim that are called sferot, or they call midot, and so on and so forth. And the place in which we connect ourselves, our outlet in which we plug ourselves in, which from that sfera, all the shefa, all the abundance comes, that's sferat yesod. And now it might be easier for you to understand when we say tzaddik yesod olam. It means that tzaddik is a person that he has the ability to connect himself to the upper worlds through the sfera of Yesod. Tzaddik, Yesod, Olam, he's connecting the Olamot and the tzaddik through the Yesod, and that's in the middle. And in Parashat Noach, thank you. In Parashat Noach, there is a way that shows us how we could achieve that chibur, that connection altogether. The Ari explains that the three sons of Noach are corresponding with the three lines of right, left, and center. And these are symbolizing the three initiating forces that reside in each and every one of us, every human being. So Kav Yamin, the right line, represents chesed, kindness of giving, and endless love. Left side represents the will, the urge, and the willingness to receive only to ourselves. Right, Zigby? Right? And the middle line is the superego. That's what you're going for. The middle line is the one that balances between the two. And what will be receiving in order to give. So I want to receive from the left to be able to give to somebody else to the right. So
reverse socialism.
What?
Reverse socialism.
Not reverse socialism, psychoanalysis. But so in order for a person to really maintain itself in peace and harmony with himself and the world around him, right? Or in other words, the connection to Sferat Yesod, you need to have all those three attributes in you. Your job is really to create a balance, and then through this balance, this is how you connect yourself to the Sfirat HaYesod. So the Ari adds that when we make, here, the Ari writes that when we make a line, Kav, right, a Vav, it looks like the letter Vav, right? It looks like a Vav, right? And then that's in a way, it's like a pipe that brings the abundance from above down to us here, right? Now, in order to get the right plumbing that would connect us to the Sfira of Yesod, we said we need to have 3 lines, right? So it's going to have 1 line and then 3 lines, right? So now, and Vav in Gematria is 6, right? So we have 3, so that's going to be 18. So it's going to be 18. In other words, if I'm going to put it into Hebrew letters, that's going to be Chai. Now you understand why everybody likes, Jewish people wear Chai here. It's not just, why Chai? Why not, I don't know what, Kesef, money, I don't know, pet, I don't know, love. Why Chai? The reason is that. That reason is in here. So as soon as we created those 3 lines, we are connected. How do we do it? How do we connect it? We put a line in the bottom that looks like Shin. That becomes the Shin. Now, the Ari says that if you take Shin and you take Chai, right? What do you get? Shin, Chat, Chet v'Yud, right? Shem, Cham, Yefet. These are the 3 sons of Noach, and that's what we have in us. That's what we should develop. Now, the Parashat tells later on, and tells us the measurements of the Teva and so on and so forth. The Teva is 300 Amma, 300 Amot, right? And Amma is about how much?
1.5.
Where's Sam?
1.5 feet.
1.5 feet. Yeah, you take let's say 1.5 feet or 2 feet, right? And that's the Orech HaTeva 50 Amma Rochba ו30 Amma Komata. In other words, 300 feet it was long, 300 Amot it was long, 50 feet, and then 30 feet, and 30 feet, 30 Amot, high. So it looks like Noach is building, a pretty big boat, or, whatever he's doing over there.
A 5-story building.
What?
A 5-story building.
Yeah, so if you say, hold on, if you're going to say, and Amma is about half a meter, 50 centimeters. So it's about 150 meters long. It's 300 feet long of a boat. It's like a, what do you call it?
You said 60 amot, right?
No, 300 amot long, 300 by 50 by 30. What?
This is a replica they made in Kentucky.
Oh wow, in Kentucky. Not only they make good bourbon in Kentucky, they also make Noach's Ark.
It's the size of a cruise ship, no?
Yeah, something of that sort. Yeah. So in other words,
For animals.
but we need to really understand that all the animals were supposed to kind of squeeze themselves in for about a year, and it doesn't really seem so reasonable because there's so many different animals. However, that problem is not a problem. Why is it not a problem? Because the problem is not with the Torah, the problem is with the attitude. We think that the Torah is some kind of a history book. And the Torah is not a history book. The Torah is not a history book, but a book of laws, regular worldly laws and spiritual laws that are supposed to guide us so we will be able to live whole and fulfilled life. And the Zohar explains that those measurements that are brought in the Torah are really measurements to build a spiritual ark that is going to protect you in all aspects. For example, 300 in Gematria, the Gematria of 300 is Shin, 300, as we said, right? That's the Shin. In other words, the first thing that we need to do in order to build the Teva, we need to build those three, or to build within ourselves those three lines of abundance that come in all the time. You can't be super, righteous person. You never get anything, you only give because you're going to get depleted. You need to get you're human. You need to get it, and that's why you need to remember that there's a God that gives it to you. But you're not supposed to keep it to yourself. You need to give it to others. And you are, later on, become that line. By doing so, you become the balance. Now, anytime you have something, you get something, and you don't share it, you're creating a clot, a spiritual clot within you. We spoke today about giving maaser, right? Giving money for tzedakah and so on and so forth. So imagine you are this oligarch that makes $1 million a day collecting rent, right? So very nice that you build a $4 million shul. Very nice, but that's nothing. That's peanuts for you. You get clogged. You get spiritual cholesterol. You need to have some kind of a drainage in you to be able to go. You are creating, by not giving, by not sharing, you are creating distortion in the world, unhappiness. You were chosen to be the one to distribute the heavenly wealth. You hold it within yourself. You're manipulating the whole harmony of the world. How can you go to spend thousands of dollars on restaurants and going here or going there and going on spas when there are hungry children in Yerushalayim or in Bnei Brak or in Borough Park or that they don't have anything to eat, while you are stuffing yourself like a pig in Christmas? How can you do that? I mean, if you think about the size, how big of a bed do you need? A twin bed is more than enough for one person to sleep in. So how many bedrooms do you need? How big of a bed do you need? How can you tell me that you can spend $30, $40 million for a house for you to live in? Well, there are people who in Eretz Israel sleep like 10, 12 people in one tiny apartment, like a 3 or 2 bedroom apartment. There's something wrong with it. How can you spend $1 million on marble on your floor when you know that people don't have blankets to cover themselves with? And then you're going to crying when things don't work your way? That's the problem. We need to establish that flow of spiritual energy through us in a most balanced way. And you see it even in learning Torah. We say Talmud Torah keneged kulam, but Talmud Torah is just the beginning. But Talmud Torah shel hu? First of all, you need to learn, lilmod. Right away, you go to lelamed. Because your kiyum mitzvot, establishment of mitzvot, depends on lilmod, lelamed, lishmor, lasot, ulekayem. Kiyum mitzvot, your kiyum mitzvot, depends on your movement from stage 1 to stage 2. Without that movement, you can't keep the mitzvot. Lo yeh leze kiyum. When you do zikuy arabim, you take care of people and so on and so forth. The Torah tells us that's what you need to do. You need to build that shin, the balanced shin inside of you, the 300 inside of you, in order to be, that's your protection. Bitcoin, all these things, that's not your protection. Gold, buying cars, electric cars, whatever. I can't believe that all of you, whatever you are, are falling for this. Oh, that's where the world is going. That's where the world is going. Good, I'm going the other way. Everybody's driving electric cars. Good, I want a V8. I don't understand you guys. I thought you're smart. That's not where the world is going. That's where the world is leading you to go. And that's our society. We create a disconnect here. We create a disconnect here. We can't give because all we want to do is get. What's wrong with your telephone? Do you need another phone? Nothing is wrong with it. What's wrong with your car? Do you need another car? What's wrong with your house? Do you need another house? You have a house, well, you need another house. Why do you need it for? Because you were told. So the world goes one way, you go the other way. And which is a very good way of investment. The whole world is selling, you'll buy. The whole world is buying, you sell. Go exactly the opposite, because when the whole world is moving into a certain direction, there are already like a whole bunch of people way ahead of you. You're never going to catch them. Go the different way. Everything is a cycle. And how do we really implement this thing? So we need to go a little open another tab here. So the parasha continues with the words "V'tishachet haaretz lefnei Elokim v'timaeh haaretz chamas." מה זה ותשחט? What does it mean ותשחט? להשחית. להשחית is destroy, and להשחית in Hebrew is also shchitut, corruption. The deterioration of society starts with corruption and fascism. But corruption. And according to as what we said before, the code of livelihood that we have here, corruption means using the left side only to take to ourselves without giving in the same measure to the others. Where are you getting with all your money? Where are you going to go? How long do you think you're going to live? With all the money in the world. Let's say you have all the money of Bill Gates and all the other, Beyond Beef people, what's the name? All this placenta? Not placenta. What's the name? The seed thing company.
Plant-based.
No, plant-based. Monsanto. Yeah. All this like people, right? With all the money in the world, yes, they might think you can extend your life with 1 minute more than was prescribed to you. Where are you going with this? When are you going to stop? The destruction comes because of that. When I talk to you about the cabal, about the secret government, these are the people they only want for themselves. These are the people that are only there for themselves. Politics is an absolutely good example of only getting left side. It's only left. They tell you they're going to give you, but then all they do is giving you sand in your eyes. Don't listen to politics. Don't listen to the news. I wish you would spend so much time listening to Divrei Chachamim than you spend watching, I don't know what, Stephanopoulos, eating, talking, making an interview with Stephanopoulos. It's a waste. You want to be saved? Tishma b'Torah. Listen to the Torah. That's how you're going to be saved. The world, you're too small of a player. You are nothing. Good, since I'm nothing, guess what? Homie, don't play. I'm out of here. I don't play this game. So corruption means, as we said before, using only the left side to give, to receive and not to give. Give to other people, give to society, and so on and so forth. And by the way, as soon as you say the parasha, or you mention Parashat Noach, of course everybody talks about what we talk about? The Mabul, the flood, the tsunami. You know what's fascinating? It is fascinating to me. We're talking about that the world is getting hot. But all of a sudden you find things that until now were up in water, and the world, and so it means that, I don't know, even during the Civil War, they just find a whole bunch of caves. They want to know, in Kentucky, I don't know, whatever they were underwater all the time, but now they found them because there's a drought. So it means during the Civil War, it's just as hot as it is now, isn't it? It's a cycle. Don't believe to the doom and gloom, because all they want to do is scare you. So what are we talking about again? What we're talking about is the Mabul, the flood. But sometimes, most of the time, we really disacknowledge the fact that the parasha has actually two parts to it. The first part of the parasha, of course, is Parashat Mabul. And the second one is the world after the Mabul, after the flood. And the world after the flood is our world, the world in which we live in now. And it's just, I think, fascinating that the separation line between those two worlds is the almost exact middle of the parasha. 77 psukim before, verses before, talks about the Mabul. 76 psukim after that talks about the world after. So it's just right there in the middle. And after we say, of course, Zeot Brit, which is, as we said, our word, and the Brit, that's covenant, is the promise of the continuation of the world. God had promised us the world will continue. So the world will continue. It doesn't mean that if we mess it up, we're not going to pay the price, but the world will continue. The world is not going to be destroyed, because God had promised that. Now that's the difference between being a religious person and a non-religious person. A religious person understands that God had promised him, but then requires him to be responsible. A non-religious person thinks it's all about him, and when things go sideways, it's somebody else's fault, not mine. I'm not taking responsibility for that. So okay, so this is really what it is, and this is the world now is basically according to nature, which the world before that was not. The world beforehand changed. The worldly order changed because of the flood. Until the flood. That was until the flood. After the flood, the world is not going to change, and that's the world in which we are in. Now, it seems like there's no difference between the two in terms of the world before, the world after. There's not really a big difference. On mankind that was before the Mabul, it says, "V'kol yetzer machshavot libo rak kol hayom." Whatever they thought all day long was bad. Mankind was bad all day long then. And on mankind after the flood, it says, "Ki yetzer lev ha'adam ra min ne'orav." Right? That's like, from the beginning is bad. Now, the reality is of the earth before the Mabul is "V'tishchat ha'aretz v'timaleh ha'aretz chamas," and the word was full of corruption, and then there was a lot of Hamas, right? Whatever Hamas is, similar to the Hamas in Gaza. And the world after the Mabul starts with the parasha of drunkenness and inappropriate sexual behavior, ancestry. Yeah, just like this. And right after that, we have Dora Aflaga. Dora Aflaga is connected really to the parasha of the Tower of Babel. And let's just look a little bit about something. We'll touch some points here. And we'll see also regarding the Tower of Babel, we are still again talking about the sin of humanity and the punishment that came on humanity as a result of that. But if you're going to look very carefully on what it says, you're going to see that there's no difference between the generations of the flood and the generations of the tower. There's a big difference in that. On the Dora Flaga, the generation after, it says that there's a story that says that they wanted to build a city and to build a tower and to place themselves around this tower. And in a way, there's no condemnation of that act by itself. Building the tower and living around it, the Torah does not say it was a bad thing. But because of that, they were decreed to have many languages, and God had spread them all over the earth. Again, if you're going to look at this as we usually look at it, it looks like it was a punishment. That decree to spread around and to have multiple languages is a punishment. But it still was not said out directly that that's the punishment. However, if you graduate out of kindergarten, and you would see that it wasn't really a punishment but rather a great fix-up for the sake of humanity. The fact that they start to speak multiple languages and they were spread up all over the place, that's actually a good thing. And the real meaning of the parasha of Migdal Bavel is not about the effort to bring to build up the tower, to build the Tower of Babel, but it really refers to what it was before, that Kol Haaretz, the emphasis on the word Kol Haaretz, the entire population of the earth, which was the humanity after the Mabul. It says Safa Achat Udvarim Achadim, one language and very few words, or very few opinions. After the failure of the building of the temple, there were many different languages, and as a result of many different worldviews. And I think the mistake or the sin of Dor HaFlaga is not necessarily building the city and the tower, but rather, through artificial means, to maintain that situation of one language and very few ideas, of concentration of power, and what we're going to call it in our days, totalitarian regime. In the disguise of open-mindedness and so on and so forth, and that's a disguise. It's like a pig that sticks his hoofs out and says, look at me, I'm kosher. The concept of political correctness is the first stage towards totalitarian regime. You can't say what you want to say. Of course, there's certain things as a society we took on ourselves as morals not to spread hate or killing people and so on and so forth. But if I have another opinion, I can't say it. I can't say it. And that's not, why? Because it's not politically correct. So I am not allowed to express my opinion, not as racial rhetoric. I'm not allowed to express my opinion because it's not politically correct, and they're going to change the world, the words of the language. They're going to change the language and tell me now what is correct for me to say and what is not correct for me. We are on the same stage, or the same point in history as they were at the time of the Mabul, in trying to minimize the ability to have a discussion, an exchange of ideas, which is the strength of humanity, to a totalitarian regime. By what we said before, call me a conspiracy freak. I'm not. The cabal, the secret government that sits nowhere. It's like this matrix that sits in Berkeley University, and the other one in Oxford, and the other one in I don't know where. Huh? Harvard, and yeah.
In Torah.
Okay.
But it goes all over. Yeah, it goes absolutely all over. The Torah is Baruch Hashem good.
Why read?
You eat your kugel over there, please. I see you took not only seconds, like third helping here.
I'm traumatized.
You're traumatized. Well, if you're traumatized, and that's what course you're eating, there's a psychologist on board here. Stop eating and go have a session. So that totalitarian regime, in the awareness of the innocent of the people, like we have today, many of the people today, it seems like an ideal thing. Oh, we shall all be the same thing. And that goes, by the way, listen, that goes, by the way, to our small world, that if you are not wearing a white shirt, even though I wear one, and black pants, or wearing a fedora, which I don't really like, unless I'm like, I don't know what, Al Pacino, or what's his name, James Spider, what's his name? Reddington, he wears fedoras. I don't, it doesn't look fedora nice on me, I can't tell you, I don't look nice in fedora, I don't like fedoras.
The hat?
Yeah, the hat, the Borsalinos. If you don't wear a hat like this, therefore you're not so frum. Oh, what happens when I wear a pair of jeans and a cowboy boot? That makes me a less religious person. That is also because of that. the beauty of Judaism was that we allowed exchanges of ideas and different ideas. I don't have to agree with you. And that's the beauty of the Gemara, and that's the mistake that most people are so ignorant. Oh, you can't, the rabbis don't agree on themselves. Oh, on the contrary. The Gemara, when there's so many opinions, and the Shulchan Aruch, when there's so many opinions, is a document that celebrates the variety of opinions and the validity of many opinions until they come to a conclusion. But your opinion is valid. I don't have to agree with it, but I respect it. In all, of course, when it comes to finding the truth. So to have everybody dress up the same thing, say the same thing, do the same thing, that's very bad. Where's the individuality? Now don't think that, that goes in the secular world and the religious world as well. Has its own diseases in terms of that. We're not free of that. Our job is to remove that klipa that wants to control, because we're weak. I feel that if nobody is like me, therefore I can't deal with you, so I need to compartmentalize you, to put you in different drawers, to put labels on you, because I know how to deal with the label, but not with the person. And that because of that, we become racist, we become bigots, we become fascists, and that's horrific. And that has no room in Judaism, and there's no room for that in the kingdom of Hashem. It means us as human beings. That's not good. We're going back in time in a way. So, so people think that if we're not going to have any conflicts or disagreement, that's going to be a wonderful thing. But you really understand, a person who really understands, will think about it, will see that there's nothing more horrible and horrific than this conformism, this fake, alignment that we all have to confront to. We all have to align ourselves according to this idea. So there is Shitat Rabbeinu Tam regarding Tzet HaKochavim, and there's the Shita of this one, and the Shita of, but that's the beauty of it. I love it. So the people who are ignorant will tell you that in the religious world, it all has to be black and white, and there could be no more wrong than that. That's the beauty of it. But we don't will it, so we have to, everybody has to be like this. Have to be, excuse me, which yeshiva you went to? Oh really? Who is your rabbi? Who is your this? Which mikvah did your mother go to when they hatched you? Come on, when's it gonna stop? It's ridiculous. And we should ourselves stop with this. That's the sin, that's the mistake that the people that built the Tower of Babel did. Everything should be to the greatness of Hashem. And the greatness of Hashem, we say, Berovam Hadrat Melech. The greatness of Hashem, that He created such a great variety, that people are different colors and different races and different sexes and different languages, and they look different and they wear different and they think different, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of our creation. That's the greatness of God, that He made infinite amount of options out there, infinite amount of combinations, and all valid. So those who want to make everybody the same thing, that's a mistake. That was the wrongdoing of the people at the time of the Tower of Babel. Now, if we're talking about Hamas, Hamas means robbery, means gezel, right? Extortion. Talk about going to a store that somebody built with his blood, sweat, and tears, and feeling entitled to go in and rob it because you feel like it, and nobody can do anything to you. That's called Hamas. Lack of justice and so on and so forth. The Zohar of Parashat says that in our time, that nevuah, that prophecy, will come to be fulfilled. The prophecy, Haya Tzara Lerosh. In other words, the Rashi Ha'am, the heads of the people, are going to be like this tzarea. They're going to make you hard. What are they going to be? They're all going to take bribery. They're all going to oppress you, steal from you, taxes and so on and so forth. They, as they said, they're all going to be left side, all for me. Now, it's in Israel, it's in America, it's in Germany, it's all over the world. It's the time that's what's going to happen. So, they take whatever they want, they don't ask. They do whatever they want. They decide to raise the taxes because they want to spend more, they'll do it. They'll tell you to tighten up your belt. They'll tell you to drive an electric car that will take you 17,000 hours to charge. They'll give you a tax on how much your plane ticket will go with the CO2 emissions when they fly with jets left and right. Ask the governor of New York, she'll tell you. I think she flies in a helicopter more than an Israeli Apache pilot, helicopter pilot. It's crazy. Now, that behavior really that we have also brings you to addiction, to uncontrolled eating, to drugs, to alcohol, sex, money, all these things you get addicted to. Absolutely all about me. It's all about me. And when we are in a society that the left side really controls, which is selfishness, we should not really wonder when the collapse will actually fall. In other words, will the Mabul, will the flood will actually hit us again. Therefore, we need to build ourselves a Tevat Noach, to build ourselves a defense, that we're not going to drown in that wave of Hamas corruption around us. And there are four aspects that really determine the cycle of a person's life: his genetics, his characteristics, society around him in which you were born, and the education that you get. Now, according to besides the genetic, bundle that you get, all the other aspects you can actually change yourself according to what is right and what is wrong. You could, and therefore it depends on your education. And we have a way to influence that. If society became a non-moral society, it's because we don't put enough emphasis on that in the education of our children, in our own behavior, and choose the society in which we're living in. When people make a decision on where they're going to buy a house, they usually don't think about where there's going to be the best yeshivot or the best functioning shul, but rather saying, where can I get more per dollar on square foot? Or where I'm going to buy my house that's going to pull my neighbor's eyes. That's not the way a Jew should think. And then you wonder why your kid becomes a bum. Only to a place of Torah, the society around you, places that they're going to actually implement values. And the values are implemented is you know why? Because you want to. You want to have a society, and therefore because you want to, you make it happen. But if you don't want to, don't come crying to me when people rob you on the subway and they throw you off the truck because you yourself didn't want to. And this is our job to do so when we have to do it. And if you want to be protected, you also need to have the society around you that would support you, that would, as we said before, would connect you to the Sfira of Yesod. Look at your community you move into. How many, again, people look at the community. How much chesed there is in the community? Is this a tzedakah organization here? Is there a Bikur Cholim in this community? Is this Achnasat Kala in the community? Is this, whatever is there? Is there? Okay, now let me look further. There isn't? Nothing to talk about. The society is not really be there to support you. You're going to fail. Now there's a lot here to talk. But we need to daven arvit, and I don't want to get anybody upset. But I think I gave you enough to think about what you should do and expect of yourself doing. Don't expect somebody else to do. So if for whatever reason you were lucky enough or stupid enough to meet with a politician on the campaign trail, why won't you ask them, what are you going to do to implement those values? And what are you going to do? What are you going to do, or what would you say I can hold you accountable for? If you don't reach this within 2 years of your election, are you guaranteeing to me that you're going to step down? Because I don't want you. Because I don't believe you. Because you're connected only to yourself. So these are the things that you need to look for. Now, when it says, we're going to finish with this, when it says in Kohelet, on the Pasuk, Yamim asher tomar en li ba'im chefet, there will be days in which I really don't want them, right? According to that, when Rabbi Akiva says that, he really talks about the days of old age. You know, there's no glory of being an old man. But it really hits it for Yemot HaMashiach, she'en b'hem lo zchut velo chova. In a world that all the problems were solved, and there is a complete harmony, and there's no zchut, there's no chova. It's all good. It's kind of, there's really no room for struggles, for exchange of ideas, and so on and so forth. Therefore, I don't want those days. I want days that we're going to have different opinions and we can work it out. That's what makes glory to Hashem. That is the beauty of that. When there is the difference and people are fighting for something, all of a sudden, why? Because by doing so, having a struggle, fighting, improving, this is how you actually creating a reality that has meaning behind it. There's value. There is meaning to this. Because now there's something for you to look forward to. But if everything is hunky-dory, peachy, who wants that? That's boring. You need to hustle a little bit. It will be the difference between hustling or becoming a government worker in a post office, just temping stuff the whole day long. Nobody wants that. So don't push away arguments, don't push away exchange of ideas. Allow it, whether it's in your company, whether it's in your home, whether it's in your shul, whether it's in anywhere you go. But not to overpower the other, but rather make the reality that we're at more meaningful, with more value, counted for. And by doing so, we could create a company that, or a society that everybody takes care of each other. Because only then you understand that your strength is dependent also on the strength of the person next to you. It doesn't make a difference how smart or strong you are. You always need something. Lo tov heyot adam levado. It's not good to be alone. For a person to be a hermit, that's not good. And that's why you sometimes have struggles with your wife, that's good. If you don't fight with your wife and you don't have any arguments, I'll be get a private detective because something is not working there. Through those arguments, through this exchange, because both of you want truthfully to make a house to be a bait ne'eman b'Yisrael, a house is based on emunah. So you work, you give up, and she gives up, and then there is a mutual understanding, and this is what brings the true harmony. So, Rabotai, a lot to work. Shabbat Shalom. And again, this shiur is Leilui Nishmat Shabbatai ben Flora, and Lehavdil Refuah Shlema of
Tzion ben Iran.
Tzion ben
Iran.
Iran. Refuah Shlema, Shabbat Shalom.